Welcome to the No Budget Filmcast, where we highlight independent films that are not necessarily included in the mainstream entertainment media. My name is Milo Dennison, and with me, as always, are my most excellent co-hosts, Claire Milan and Cahal Feeney. On this week's episode, we are discussing an independent film by an Irish filmmaker starring an Irish actor. It is called Six Shooter. So, Claire, do you want to do the honors on this one again?
Yes, so Six Shooter, it's written and directed by Martin McDonagh. So I don't know if our audience know Martin McDonagh, but he's a very, very famous English-Irish playwright. And this is I think it's his first short film. So it was made in 2004 and it's set mostly on a train. So it's about a man and he's just lost his wife and he meets this crazy guy on the train. So it is, I'm a massive fan of Mark McDonagh as a playwright, and it's the same humor in this short film. It's so dark. I think it's a terrific film. It won the Academy Award in 2006, I think. Or 1996 or 2006, wasn't it?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I think won a BAFTA in 2005. It's one of my favorite short films, but it's so dark. Like he has that, most of Mark McDonagh's plays, they're all based in the west of Ireland. So because he spent a lot of summers in the west of Ireland, so that's where his influence comes from. And if you notice in some of the dialogue, it's very west of Ireland dialogue. So I don't know, what did you think of it, Milo?
Yeah, it's interesting because at first, I honestly, I wasn't really liking it at first.
Really?
But it did a good job of dragging me into it, especially because the young man that he meets on the train, played by how would you say the kid's name? Because
Rory Connery.
Okay, because it's an Irish name. So for our listeners,
it's
pronounced Rory, but it's spelled like GHBDCLNMNKHAR, which is Rory in Irish.
He's the son of Brendan Conroy, who we both worked with. Remember down on a film in Wexford.
We did.
Yeah. Did you work in the Lion's Share?
I did work on the Lion's Share, yes.
Yes, so Brendan Conroy is Rory Connery's father.
Oh, that Brendan.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, he's a very well-known Irish actor, if anyone doesn't know.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And who's the main star? Brendan Gleeson is the main star in this. Mm-hmm. And his son, Donald Gleeson, has this tiny part in it as well.
Oh, cool.
So
Boy, small world. That's funny. So did Rory come down there then when we were working on that film at any point?
No, he didn't. No.
Because I could have said I met him, but I can't now. So anyway, so back to the film. At first I wasn't really liking it. I found kind of his character kind of aggravating, that just kind of, inner city, kind of obnoxious type of character. But Brendan Gleeson's always great in everything he does. So that kind of really set a nice bar for the film. But it had these like kind of little twists that kind of kept getting thrown into it. So, the first couple he meets on the train, and it's like, okay, you see the relevance to his situation with losing his wife. And then like later on, about the kid's mom and that kind of stuff. And so all these little things that kind of keep popping up that kind of draw you into it, that actually make it a really good film. And the side story about the farting cow was hilarious.
That was brilliant. Yeah, it's just, that's the style of Martin McDonagh. Mm-hmm. He's very dark, very, very dark humor. He pushes the boundary nearly too much, Mm-hmm. And how he became a very well-known playwright. The Queen's was making a speech and he interrupted her. So Sean Connery jumped in, and he's all over the papers, Martin McDonagh. So his plays, that's how he got a bit of publicity. And his plays, hugely took off. Like, they were rejected by the Abbey and loads of places. But Gary Hines and Druid, if anyone knows, it's a very well-known, very successful Galway theatre company. She picked up The Beauty Queen of Lannan. So his theatre career took off. And so it's great to see, when I saw this short film, it's the same type of humour he uses in his plays. Like, very dark. He's not afraid to deal with topics. Like in Six Shooter, there's a woman and she's just lost her baby, and the young guy is mocking her in a really cruel way. So he's not afraid to go there, and he has been criticised for that. But I think that's what makes him an amazing playwright, to deal with these really dark topics.
And you say it was dark. I mean, it is very dark comedy. But I thought like the only real comedy was at the beginning, at the end. I'm not saying that, you know, I didn't enjoy it or anything like that. It was, you know, you could see the talent behind it. But I mean, it was more dark and bleak than actual comedy.
And there was very good one-liners in it, I thought. Yeah.
In some ways, it reminded me a bit of Tarantino.
Really, that's interesting.
Like you have this, you know, extreme violence in a way, but then you have these characters sort of just talking randomly about topics that don't necessarily have anything to do with the film. Like he's talking about horses and horse riding and stuff like that. Rory Connery, and you know, then it kind of comes back to reality, or you know, the main sort of plot. But you know, obviously he was a playwright, and this was actually his first film that he made, and he isn't really that prolific of a filmmaker. Like he's made.
Well, he did. Was it 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing? Didn't he get nominated for an Oscar for that? He did 7 Psychopaths.
I know he won BAFTAs for sure.
But he's I suppose he's more known as a playwright. It's the humor in it, like especially that scene with the cow, the flashback. It was so crazy. Like this cow, and he's like flatulence, and this farmer goes in and stabs the cow, and then he lights up a lighter, and the cow explodes.
So, sorry, did you recognize the guy, the short man from the cow? David Pierce.
Yes. Yes, I love David Pierce.
Exactly. Claire and I did a review of a film that David Pierce was in, Bad Day for the Cut.
Bad Day for the Cut. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he's an amazing actor. He's kind of a small part in this, but it's like Bad Day for the Cut. It was a Northern Irish film, and I caught it really late on like 10 o'clock in the Galway Film Fleadh, and it was absolutely brilliant. Mm-hmm. And we reviewed it, so but it's interesting to see David Pierce in this as well. Yeah,
it's the thing. Every time he pops up, he's just like really kind of just pops up in these films, and you're like, oh, this guy's really he's really memorable for being for having such small parts in films.
And even to see Brendan Gleeson, because Brendan Gleeson, obviously, he's in Star Wars, and he's a massive career. Mm-hmm. But he has the part of he's setting the guy in the train with the trolley, and he's not bringing the trolley down to the train. And I love the scene where Brendan Gleeson goes up to him and asks for crisps. You know, it's such a very Irish thing. You know, like potatoes are ripples. You know, it's a very Irish. Potatoes are very Irish. Anyone doesn't know potatoes are crisps, or what are they? Potato chips.
Potato chips. Yeah. Potato chips. Yeah. And it's funny because I totally got that joke too, because the guy's like, "What do you want? Pringles? What do we fancy like that? Yeah, or something like kind of statement like that." No, it's potatoes, or
it's brilliant.
Cheese and onion.
And that's very Martin McDonagh.
Ireland, totally, yeah.
Oh, it really is, and that's a very Martin McDonagh kind of quip. You know, it's the way he writes, and he writes those kind of lines, and and even to see Brendan Gleeson so young, I think he was probably 20 at the time when he filmed this, but. It was great to see Brendan and Donald opposite each other, you know.
Well, the thing I enjoyed about that scene was that it was the only scene that Brendan Gleeson really lost his cool. Like,
yes.
You know, when he was talking with Rory Connery, like Rory Connery, most people would have told him to, you know, shut the hell up at some stage. And he was even apologising for him in a way. He was defending him. But then there was scene with the trolley guy. You know, he kind of lost his cool, and I'd say he really enjoyed doing that with his son. You know, I'd say
I'd say
having a go at him.
And then with the with the rabbit, I won't say what happened exactly, but again, that's very Martin McDonagh. He's not afraid to go there, you know. So you'll have to watch it, but it is available on YouTube, isn't it? It's free.
Yeah. I think you have to, when you search for it, search for like Brendan Gleeson 6-shooter or something like that, because it doesn't just come straight up if you search for 6-shooter.
And I just Claire was saying it was available on YouTube, but I was asking her, was that the rabbit or the film? You know? No, it was a bad joke. Never mind.
I'll throw a laughter sound effect there. It'll be a sound effect of one person laughing, going like, ha ha.
Well, it's funny. Because I've watched it like 3 years ago, and I was tonight. I just rewatched it. I was in a coffee shop, and I actually laughed out loud. You know, I was one of those really embarrassing customers, and I had my earphones in, and I just randomly, if anyone had seen me, you know what I mean? They probably were thinking, who's this person laughing to themselves, you know. But it just, it's just hilarious. Yeah.
Did you laugh the whole way through the film?
Me?
Yeah.
No, it was the cow. Well, I did laugh at certain points, but it was the cow scene that really set me off. I don't know what it was. It just really set me off, you know. I forgot about that scene. Yeah, until I rewatched it.
It was outside of the band, so I'd more or less completely forgotten, you know, what was going on. But I remember the first time I watched it, I kind of thought, "What the hell was that about?" You know. But watching it again, I think I did get a better appreciation, you know, of the film. Definitely.
Okay, well, so that was Six Shooter by
Martin McDonagh.
Martin McDonagh, directed and written by him, starring Brendan Gleeson, Rory Connery, a few other people. It's on YouTube, so go look it up. It is funny. So ratings out of 5, guys.
4.5, because I'm a massive Mark McDonagh fan. Yeah.
Wow.
I'll give it 4.
4? I'm going to go 3.
Really?
I know it's a high 3. It could be a 3.5.
Yeah.
I liked it. I did like it. It's not one of those films I think I'd really like want to watch over and over again kind of things.
No.
Especially once you know everything that's going to happen, you know the humor bits and that kind of stuff. It's funny and it's entertaining, and I would recommend other people see it.
It did win the Academy Award. Remember that? It won the Academy Award.
It is an Academy Award-winning film. So,
and it's 25 or 6 minutes long for a short film, which makes it twice as hard to get into film festivals. Is that length?
Yeah, that is true. So, and it's on YouTube, so it's not like you have to pay or illegally download it to watch it. So. All right, we're going to wrap that up. And so what we're doing here is we're kind of trying out a little something new for the show, a little no-budget podcast / video cast thing. Let us know what you think via some comments, or as always, you can contact us via our social media channels, which are all at No Budget Show. That's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.